Hey everybody, I'm back again, and in today's video I would like to talk about how to display art in the home. I thought it'd be quite interesting because after doing some research online, I just thought, there's not a lot of information out there about how to display art in the home, and there is some that I found on YouTube, but there just doesn't seem to be a lot. And I just thought I would make this video to add more information about that subject, to see if I can use my own experience and the information that I've acquired to help people who are perhaps thinking about putting some art in their home and where to put it and what's the best way of displaying it. But here we are. We're in the Curiosity Gallery. I just wrote down some kind of questions really about, what would I look for to try and figure out how to display art in the home. And I think the number one question is how do you want to see and interact with it? How would you like it to interact and complement your home? And because it also depends on what kind of art do you want to put in your home. What kind of subject matter is it? Is it like these, where it's quite abstract, very colourful, very bright? Or is it something more minimal, something more, something with less colour? Because that will also determine where you place that in the home. Let's say if you have a really decorative home, if you have something that's very old, that's very ornate, very decorative, maybe you would just want something that's an artwork that's quite minimal, because I suppose if you put something like this in a very decorative home, very traditional home, it might look too much, and you might think, well, that kind of artwork just wouldn't complement that space. But then maybe something like this might complement the space because it's more minimal, it's just basic colours. So if you imagine if you had decoration on the edges of the ceiling, or you had decorative wallpaper, I suppose that's something to think about. Would that subject matter of the artwork, would it complement the interior space? So I thought I'd just talk about that first, because I think, whether it's, who knows whose art it is, whether it's my work or another artist's work. I was thinking, for me, that would be one factor I'd think about, the subject matter of the artwork, and whether that subject matter can complement the style of my home. Another thing I was thinking, the size of the artwork will also determine where you place it. For example, if it's a small artwork, it could be placed in a small space, and a large artwork could be placed in a bigger space. But on the other hand, maybe that's not necessarily the case, because a small piece could also look quite nice in a big space. And I'll put in some examples of kind of artworks in the home space, just to give you an idea. It's from a software that I use to show how artworks could look like in different spaces, and I'll put that in the video as well, just to give you some idea. But having said that, I think a small artwork could look nice in a big space, because if you've got a big space, it might, if the space is quite minimal, there's not a lot of decoration, the artwork itself could look quite nice in that space because your eye would just be focused on that small artwork. So yeah, so maybe it might be worth having a play around and seeing, if you do get a chance to play around, see what works, a small artwork in a big space, or obviously a big artwork would need to go in big space. Yeah, and then where do you display the artwork? You could display it in bedroom, living room. I've heard some people display their artwork in the bathroom. A bathroom depends what it is. I mean, if it's like this, a sculpture, like a ceramic sculpture, you could probably put it in the bathroom because you got to think, if it's damp in the bathroom, people having shower, bath, you get all the steam. If it's a 2D artwork, like that piece there, like a painting, which is unframed, it could potentially damage the work because the moisture will get absorbed by the artwork. But if it's a big bathroom, there's lots of space, you might be okay. But you probably want to think about that and think about, okay, if I do want to put a piece in the bathroom, maybe it should be framed with glass and maybe airtight in some way so you're not letting any moisture in. But things like sculpture, like ceramic sculpture and that kind of thing, that could potentially work. So if you have a big bathroom with some with space in there, maybe that could work. But again, I think it's thinking about the subject matter, the subject of the piece, of the artwork, and then thinking about the style of the room that you want to put that piece in, and thinking about, okay, do those two styles, do they complement each other? Would they work together as a relationship? When you're thinking about where to put the artwork, say for example you want to put an artwork in your bedroom. I'll give you an example for this piece. I found out this piece looks quite nice above the bed because it's quite dreamy, and again it's it relates to that subject matter because obviously being in bed, you're dreaming, you're sleeping, and then the style of this artwork is very dreamy. It's like you're drifting off into a dream. So I found by placing that next to a bed, and I'll put an image in the video as an example. Thinking about the style, you think, well, the bedroom is a quite dreamy place. You have dreams there, you sleep there, and then thinking about the style of the artwork and thinking, those two, they kind of complement each other. This dreamy painting and the bedroom. So that's another thing I forgot to mention, is just like, if you're looking at different styles of artworks, think about, okay, where could this be placed in the home that best suits that space? Like this one being in a bedroom, maybe because it's relating to dreams, or if you had like a big painting, maybe like this one, you could say, that's a bit like food, so maybe I'll put it in the kitchen because it reminds me of food. But that's what I would be thinking about. Yeah, so that's potentially like different places in the home where you could display the artworks. But how do you go about displaying them? Because there's one thing talking about them and thinking about, you're thinking about the style and thinking, is this style of artwork, is it going to match the style of my home? And thinking about, where can I put it? So if it's a painting, I'll show you. Let's take this painting off. So on the back of these paintings, on the back of any painting, you usually have this kind of hanging system, and it's usually fairly simple. I mean, you don't really need to explain it much, but you know, usually you can just hang this painting on just some nails and a screw, just some nails that you can bang into the wall. But if you don't want to put any nails on the wall, you can get these sticky hooks that you can just stick on, and you can just take them off at a later date, so you don't have to put any holes in the wall. And it's as simple as that, really. And then just hanging the painting on top. And that just goes for any type of art, you know, whether it's my own art or whether it's another artist's art. So yeah, that's one method. So 2D works are pretty simple. And I'll put the link in the description of where you can buy those sticky hooks, you know, if you don't want to bang nails into the wall. And then sculpture. Yeah, how can you display sculpture? So what I've done here, for example, I've displayed my sculptures on this coffee table, and yeah, I found that worked quite nice because, you know, this could be displayed in a lounge, so you could be sitting down, drinking some coffee, and you can imagine this, you know, just being next to the sofa or something. So very casual placement. Although you could put sculptures on a plinth, like a dedicated plinth. You could put it on a side table or a large windowsill or a cabinet. And you could, like this setup here, have it placed underneath a painting, and to see that kind of relationship. But I suppose you want to consider, you know, if you've got kids, if you've got pets, dogs, you might want to consider, how can I keep those sculptures safe? Or you could have a sculpture displayed in the middle of a room if you have a large space, or if you have like a big entrance. Maybe that's the first thing that people see when they walk into a home, is to see, you know, sculpture. So that's just some ideas about maybe how to display painting and sculpture. Another thing I thought about considering is the lighting in the space and the colour of the walls, because if you imagine, for example, if this wall was green and then you put this picture on top, the picture will probably just merge into the space and you wouldn't see it very well. So maybe that's another factor to consider. And because ideally you want to have the artworks, they want to kind of stand out, they want to kind of pop out. Or the artwork could look good next to a window. So if you have a nice window, like large open window, that might look quite nice as you're letting loads of natural lighting. Or on the other hand, you could have spotlighting, that direct light onto the pictures to make them stand out. So that's another thing I was thinking about, is to consider the lighting and how that kind of interacts with the artwork. And spotlighting could be really useful for 3D sculptures as well, because being 3D, you might get some nice shadows, those kind of interplays. So that's pretty much everything really. That's those are kind of my ideas about how I would display art in the home. And there was just some of the things I was thinking about that I would consider. Maybe you would have your own kind of opinions, but I thought I'd share that, just to give people another insight into how to display artworks in the home. I hope that will help in some way, and who knows? I mean, if you have any suggestions, or if you have any of your own personal opinions about how to display art in the home, or what you think would be a good way of displaying art in the home. Feel free to let me know in the comments below, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you liked it, feel free to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you find the content useful. And and also feel free to support me on Patreon if you like what I do, and I'll also put the link in the description. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.